Hello, this is Randall Root. This video is about doing exercise 5.2. Exercise 5.2, it's assumed that the database has been created from the previous exercise. And so now your goal is to go ahead and create the tables inside that database. The first thing, of course, to do is make sure that you focus on the correct database. So make sure you're there. And then it's a matter of going through and creating the tables. Now, you can create the tables simply by typing the code that I've given you in the code window. But you can also create it in a couple different ways. One way is to, let's see, have I made the database already? Looks DW, nope, I haven't. So I'm going to make the database. Okay, the database exists. Now, remember, a lot of times, guys, you have to refresh manually. It doesn't always automatically refresh like that. Just assume it won't. And just hit the refresh button by highlighting databases. Once you're there, you can go ahead and right-click and start making the tables. When you do it this way, you work with it much like an Access database, in which case you put in the column names and various different things. I'm hitting tab to move from one location to the other. If you want to make a primary key, you right-click and say make a set of primary key. If you want to use a different data type, you can start typing it in, it'll figure it out, or you can use a drop-down box. If there's additional properties that you want to set, you can do so in the property window down below. For example, if I had made a key column, and I wanted the key to form the identity specification, there's an option here to say yes, it is. Oops. Let's see. I have to expand it, which is kind of weird, but okay. Yes, I do want it to be the identity specification. That's the auto number feature. Now, another way to work with it is to go through and create a database diagram. So the thing with a database diagram is that you have to install the database diagram support, which is easy to do. You just click on the link. If you actually forget to do that, it will remind you as soon as you try to make a new diagram. Once there, it'll look a little disconcerting because there's a blank spot here where it says add tables. But if you think about it, it makes kind of sense because, I mean, after all, we haven't put any tables in there yet. So you just close it. Now, at that point, you have a nice blank sheet of paper that you can start working on. From there, you say make a new table, give it a name, dim, whatever, and then start putting in the columns such as your key, your ID, your name, and so on. Of course, I'm just making it up right now. It'll be whatever was in the spreadsheet that we created earlier. So like product ID and product key and product name and so on. Same thing for creating the primary key. Is very similar to that user interface we just saw. You right click and say set primary key. And then it's also similar in that you can go to the property sheet and indicate whether or not that particular column is an identity specification. Now the property sheet can show up in different locations depending on how you set up Management Studio. So be aware that it's probably going to be on the right side unless you've adjusted things. I usually adjust the look and feel of my environment here. But that's it. When I'm done, I'll end up being able to have a new table in there. The table actually won't be built. You see the little star there indicating it has been saved until I hit the save button. Hitting the floppy disk symbol save button. Nope. Looks like I wasn't focused on the diagram. Let me try again. There we go. Guess I should give the diagram a better name than diagram 0, but who cares? But you guys see how the star went away? That means that the table is actually saved. And I may have to refresh over here in order to see it, but occasionally it works without a refresh. But if you're pretty sure you've made it and you don't see it, use refresh. Very common issue. That's it. Once you've made one table, you make the others, and so on. Now, when you're all done, you want to actually probably make a script file like I did. You can do so by just going through and asking the Management Studio to script out the creation of the tables into a new window. When you do, you'll get the code that you need to create it, but you also get a bunch of other code that just probably isn't all that useful. The task here would be to clean up the stuff that is and is not useful. By and large, you can just kind of keep this block of code, and I don't need anything with quote identifiers or ANSI nulls or anything like that, so I would say that this is probably a good place to kind of start. The IntelliSense will sometimes give you error messages indicating, in this case, that, hey, you already got a table by that name. But the IntelliSense isn't always 100% truthful to you. Well, actually, in this case, it's truthful, but not very useful. If you want to turn it off temporarily, if it bothers you, you can right-click on the background and just click on the IntelliSense Enable button, and the warnings will go away. From there, I would copy that code and put it into a master script, kind of like what I did here. I just pasted it under each heading until I had it all done. So there's a variety of ways that you can go ahead and build the database. It's going to be up to you. The goal would be to use the spreadsheet to kind of identify what data types and column names you're going to use to create the database. And then, well, create it and put the tables in. When you get all done creating the tables, there's another section in which case you do the foreign key constraints. Once again, I've provided the code. You can do it from the design tool. So if I had a separate table here, table 1 sounds good to me, and I had demo ID, and then another one called, I don't know, customer ID, I should say whatever ID. This would be a foreign key back to dim whatever table. I can drag and drop. You left click and drag and drop it from column to column. It's a little confusing because, actually, to tell you the truth, let me redo that. I'm connecting the key to the other table. It's not the ID. Okay, there we go. Drag and drop to the key. Much better. So the key in one table is connecting to the whatever key in the other table. The point is, though, it'll make the foreign key for you. And once again, when you hit save, it'll save your work. To create the foreign key constraint by code, you just go through and put in the code like in the book. When you're done, you'll end up having most of the dimension tables and the foreign key constraints that you need. There's still one missing, though. It's a special one. It's the dates table. And that is the subject of the next exercise. Hopefully